A woman is counting her money next to a man. She then takes some bills and puts them inside the car. The woman then leaves the car and the man goes inside. At that moment, the man spots the money notes and is surprised by that. He then takes the notes and puts them in his pocket, while saying that he was lucky. Meanwhile, another woman sees everything from afar. Later, the woman picks up some more bills of money. She then places the notes on top of a box next to another man. She then walks away and leaves the man working. He then continues what he was doing, and at that moment he ends up noticing the money notes. He then said that he really needed that money and kept it in his pocket. Meanwhile, the other woman watches everything again. Later, another woman was cleaning the back of a car. At this moment, the woman arrives and puts some more hidden notes. She then observes for a bit what the other woman was doing, then she walks away. The other woman then continues what she was doing. But at that moment she ends up needing something. She then goes to get it and ends up finding the money and is surprised by that. She then wonders if any customers had forgotten that money there. Soon she takes the money and puts it in her pocket. Meanwhile, the other woman was still in the distance, watching everything. Later, the employee goes to the woman. She said she really needed to talk to her. The woman then said she could sit down and asked what happened. The employee then says that something strange had happened and that she needed to talk to the woman about it. The woman then asks what happened and the employee says that she didn't know if any customers or the woman herself had forgotten something, but she had found some bills of money near the car she was washing earlier. The woman then said that was a lot of money and asks if the employee didn't need it. The employee then says that, although she needed it, as her daughter was very sick, that money does not belong to her, so this was not right. The woman then thanked the employee for her need and she said she would go back to her work. The employee then gets up and walks away and the woman thinks about how honest the employee was. Sometime later, an employee was telling the employee that she shouldn't be there, because that was a car wash and that was a job for a man. The other man then says she shouldn't be there and tells her to go home. The employee then says that she needed that job, as her daughter was very sick, so they had no right to say that to her. The man so says that she was just making a fool of herself so that others could feel sorry for her. The other employee then says that she wouldn't be able to make any money there since she couldn't clean a car properly. She then cries and says they shouldn't have done that. Meanwhile, the other woman was in the distance, watching everything. Sometime later, the other woman goes to him, asking for help. The men then say that she could only be illiterate, as that was a car wash and not a charity house. The employee then says that among those they shouldn't talk like that to her, as she was just asking for help. She then says they didn't have the heart and the other man mocks her, saying she was a saint. The man then said that the woman was deaf, as he had already said that she was working. She then apologizes and says she was leaving. The employee then goes to the woman and tells her to wait. She then tells her to wait for her next to lava quickly, as she will soon bring the woman something to eat. Later, the man talks to the employee. He says he couldn't believe she had given all her food to that homeless woman. She then says that each one offered what they had. Sometime later, the woman goes to the two men and asks why they are standing still, not working. The man, Tom, said they weren't standing still, they were discussing how they would best distribute the tasks. A woman then asks the two where the employee was. He then says that that was an easy question to answer, as the employee never did anything. The woman then tells the employee to go get the employee. They then go to the woman. She says that she had sent for them there, as she was going to do an award with them. She then proceeds to say that whoever does the most cleaning jobs that day will win a large amount. This makes them very happy and they all celebrate. The woman then says that the competition was already on and that they could start. The employee then starts to do his cleaning services in a car. Meanwhile, the employee was also washing another car. She was doing her best to get it finished as quickly as possible. The man was also taking the competition seriously. He was washing cars as fast as he could. Later, they go to the woman. They argue over who would go first, but the man says he would go first. Then, he starts by saying that he had washed the cars and some motorcycles. The employee then says that he had washed many more cars than the man. The employee then says that when she tried to wash a car, they wouldn't let her finish the job, so she only washed 2. The woman then says that she had understood what had happened that day. She then said that unfortunately the employee would not be keeping the competition prize. She then hands the man or money she had promised and congratulates them. They are happy about it and celebrate. The employee then asks what the man would do with the money, and he says he would use it to go out and drink. The man then asks what the clerk was going to do with the money, and he says he was going out to have some fun. They then leave and leave the employee with the woman. The woman then says to work is to sit down, because she needed to talk to her. The employee then sits down and the woman begins by saying that she was aware of the employee's condition. She said she saw everything that had happened there that day. She says that the money that the employee had given her earlier, she was the one who had put it on purpose. She then says that she had done that because the owner of the car wash would go there that day to meet the employees, as she still didn't know them. She said that it was all designed to test the employees and that, for that reason, they were going to have a meeting before the end of the day. The woman then says that she needed the employee to go to the other employees and say that she needed to talk to them to introduce the owner of the company to them. The employee then agrees with that and then leaves. Later, they come together to do the reunion. The woman then says that that was the owner of the company. The company owner then greets the employees and says that she had done a test with them. She said that in that test, 2 of them ended up failing. This makes the employees surprised by that. She then starts saying that the first test she had asked the woman to put money in some points of the company and 2 of them did not return the money. She then says that for the second audition, she had dressed up as a homeless person and went to them asking for help. She then says that again, 2 of them failed that test and only 1 of them helped her. The man then says that it was a joke, because that kind of test didn't mean anything. She then said that she wanted the 2 men to return her money. The woman then goes to him if she collects the money they had stolen. She then said she needed their vests back. They then remove a vest and hand it back to the woman. The man then asked why she asked for the vests back, and the employee asks if that meant they were fired. She then says they were fired as they weren't the type of people she wanted at her company. The man then says that it was a bad joke and that he didn't need that job. The employee then says that he really needed that job, as he couldn't support his family without it. The business owner then says he should have thought of that sooner, and they should thank her for not calling the police. She then congratulates the employee on her kindness and her character. She then says that the employee was his new manager. This makes the employee very happy, and she said that she couldn't believe this was happening. She then tells the woman to give her the money to work. Then she knew what she needed. The woman then gives the cash to the employee and congratulates her. The employee then asks if she could hug her and they say yes.